What's going on, guys? In the garage, like usual. You know, I'm getting kind of burnt out on the heart a little bit here. It's been boring. I mean, polishing and cleaning and taking rusty stuff apart and fighting rusty bolts and all those things. I wanted to work on something fun. Now, today actually, I'm working on another video as well with Murmur's not over yet, where we're going to continue doing some polishing. Honestly, he's going to do a lot of that work. What I want to do is I want to see if I can make this big block Chevy make a little bit of noise. Now, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it in this video because there's still a lot to do. But what I am going to do, I'm going to get her up in the air because she's down on the ground, and I've actually cleaned the garage up a little bit, so we're kind of ready. But we're going to hoist her up in the air. We're going to start making a list of all the stuff we have to get. I'll run out and get that either today or probably tomorrow because we're already getting kind of late. And then start putting it all together. I mean, this thing is not plumbed. There's no radiator. There's no water pump. There's no accessory drive. There's not a stitch of wiring in the thing. So there's a lot of things to go over. The torque converter is not bolted to the motor. The transmission's got, I just got a yoke for it, but I got to run all the transmission lines for it. We got to get ATF. We got to try and clean the motor out because I was kind of grinding in the oil pan a little bit. So I was going to run a magnet in there, and then I was actually going to run some diesel in it to see if my pan is going to leak or not. Hopefully it doesn't. And I mean, we got to plumb all the fuel lines right to the carburetor. Like there's a lot to do, but I want to start tackling that, and that stuff's fun. It's kind of just easy. It's all new parts. It's methodical. It'll be good. So that's the plan for today. So if that's something you want to see, subscribe to the channel. Maybe tell a friend real quick. You guys watch it together. How fun will that be? A little date night. And yeah, we'll start jamming. I'm hoping it won't be crazy, but you know how it goes. The list of parts is never ending. I'm hoping I'll be able to get stuff fairly easily, or I have a bunch of stuff in stock. I do have just an old Tri-5 radiator. I think I got a water pump for a big block. I'm not too sure. There might be a bunch of stuff just kind of put together so it'll hold water in the block. We're not going to run this thing wide open. We're not going to do a whole lot with it. But I just want to make sure it actually makes a little bit of noise. The guy I bought it off of I do trust, and I'm sure it was running. But just want to hear it for yourself, right? So that's what I'm doing today. Yeah, I'll get this thing up in the air. We'll see what happens. Well, we're already starting to come off the rails. So I got her up in the air. That all went fine. Put the yoke in. It seemed to fit not too bad. I was looking at the ring gear to torque converter. They don't line up. So I guess we're talking metric transmission to a standard motor. And I remember that on the LS I had to oblong the ring gear, like the holes in it, to line up with the torque converter. So, looks like we're doing that on this too. I'm hoping I can do it while it's still in the car, because otherwise that'll be a pain in the ass. But for some reason I blame you guys for not telling me. Anyways, no big deal, we'll figure that out. Just another problem to deal with. And ultimately, if the transmission is not attached to the motor, we can still start the motor. So I've kind of just got my list here. So I think this is what we're just going to go over this real quick. Then I'm going to do a bunch of running around if I can before everything closes. Otherwise, I'll do it tomorrow. And we'll go from there. So, first things first, we need spark plugs, oil and filter, and a zinc additive, obviously. Coolant, ATF, I guess I need that. I do have a radiator, so we'll see if that works. What do I got? Water pump. I'm going to see, you know what? I don't have one in stock. And honestly, I'm going to see if the Speed Shop has a chrome jobby. As much as I hate chrome, it's not really my style, I feel like on this motor it might look cool. That's just my thoughts. And along with that, I have some, I got an alternator bracket. So I don't have a water pump bracket by the looks of it, or a pulley. So I'll put that on the list as well. There's only so much stuff. I keep going through that junk. I need to buy, like Amazon, I need to sell 10 packs of those things. Anyways, so we got that. A U-joint strap kit for the back. That's kind of relevant for right now. Carb linkage. So this thing has the linkage that goes to the two carburetors, which is fine. Oh, maybe I shouldn't lean against it. Oh, whatever. But you need like a big T that comes down, and then I can line it up. So if they have something, I'll buy it. Otherwise, I'll just make it. Not the end of the world. I made one on the 55 out of just all thread rod, but a 3/8 T. So I want to make my own fuel line. So I think what I'm going to do is just have both carburetors come out into a T, then I can run the line and do whatever I want, make it look as nice as possible. So that's pretty simple. Along with that, these are some short 3/8 fuel lines, or just the fittings I'll need. A water neck. This is where it gets tricky. I think I might buy an adjustable one, because a standard Tri-5 just goes straight like that. But obviously if I run some sort of a cross-roll radiator or whatever it is, whatever shows up used. So if I get a universal one of those, I might be able to change it down the road. A set of gauges, like just those cheapy all mechanical gauges to see if it has oil pressure, basically for now. A trans cooler, again, it's kind of useless right now, but I do need one of those. Miscellaneous hose clamps, radiator hoses. I might have a couple. I'll check the shed. And I was going to get some diesels to kind of check for leaks on the oil pan. So I think that's kind of what I'm going off of. I do need a coil, but I have a coil. There's a bunch of things there that I didn't check off the list. I think I have some. I'll need a bunch of plugs for the time being for, well, or nipples or whatever, just for like the water pump, if I'm not going to run a heater core and stuff like that for right now. So just get a bunch of those to have. Yeah, so I think that's what we're going to do. I have a gut feeling I'm not going to have enough stuff, and then everything's closed tomorrow. So what are you going to do? It's Saturday afternoon. There's only so much I can do. So I'm going to get a bunch of stuff. I'll try and slap it together either later tonight or even tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. And I think we're going to get kind of 90% of the way there. And the next video, we'll end up actually trying to put some life in this thing. Alright, well, I'm going to run to the parts store and just rattle my brain real quick, make sure I'm not missing anything. We'll keep giving her. Well, unfortunately, so I got back from the speed shop. I struck out big time. Like, they didn't have a lot of stuff, so I'd ordered a bunch of things. So they didn't have a water pump, didn't have a transmission cooler, bunch of pulleys they didn't have, which is unfortunate. They usually have a bunch of stuff in stock. Oh well, such is life. I did get some stuff to plumb the fuel system. I did get some lines I can run the transmission line. I can kind of do a few things like that. I ordered some gauges. So there's a bunch of stuff kind of missing, but I'm just going to plug away with what I have. I'll probably pull the radiator out, see what's going to go on there, so I can kind of decide what, I guess even now, without a water pump, it's kind of a pain. And the water pump's not going to be until next week, so I wanted an aluminum one. So it kind of suits the rest of the car. I don't know. I still think I want to make this thing run, just kind of capital life with no water in it, maybe just some fuel in the carburetors. And we'll see what happens. Unfortunately, I don't want to do things twice. So I don't want to just kind of slap together to have it run once. I want to do it properly. But I'll kind of hammer away, get the plugs in, get the plug wires run the fuel line, stuff like that, and kind of carry on. That's my plan. Well, I'm out in the garage. So Murr's here. But, you know, working on the motor and just using the parts I do have and trying to sort some things out. So I decided to do some fun stuff. I made some fuel line for it, which means just some aluminum stuff I had left over and a little bender. I think that's what I want to do. Again, nothing can kind of be permanent until I get the water pump and all that to kind of front dress on, but typically it kind of goes down. You go around here and then, you know, off the side, that's where the water pump will be. They'll fit behind the alternator. When I get this, everything is just loose. And and as long as that works, then I just got to do a little whoop-de-doo into the pump, and this is the feed line, so I can do those. I actually put the spark plugs in, and this thing had crazy long spark plug wires because it was out of that jet boat. So, and it had the headers that went kind of up and out the back. So everything was routed underneath, which I thought was kind of stupid, but actually it managed to kind of work. So all the plugs are in, and the plug wires are connected. This side's a little tight because I can't run it behind the valve cover because we're jammed up against the firewall. This side turned out okay. Not too bad. It gives a real clean look, actually, I gotta say. I do gotta hook up a coil somewhere. I think I might actually just go like right over here because this thing's so long. I can kind of run it. Have it off to the side. Right there, so I don't gotta worry about it. The next thing I want to do, I'm going to prove you guys wrong, but that wipe motor will fit in there, no problem. I got to deal with a bunch of linkage stuff. This, like the TV cable, which, as we all know, is very important. So it's gonna have to kind of, I don't know what I'm gonna do there. It's gonna be tight. I bought a bracket for it. I gotta find it. It's in the car. And I still gotta mess with linkage. But the nice thing about this making your own fuel line is it won't interfere with the linkage because I'm gonna have the rod going down there, so I'll be fine. And it clears the scoop stuff, which, let's be honest, you can't carry on without that working. So we got that going on. I'm almost out of parts. I did get a few nipples and whatnot for the intake, but that's just going to go into the water pump, which I don't have yet. But yeah, just gotta keep plugging away bit by bit. I gotta find all the hardware and mount the carburetors properly, and the hat's just sitting on there. Everything can kind of start being bolted down and double checked, triple checked. Yeah, we're still gonna do the breakdown. Yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of keep going away, bring it back a few more times, and well, maybe I'll help Merc do some polishing on another video. We'll see, but yeah, this is fun. This is the favorite part about hot rods. Mechanical stuff. New mechanical stuff. We're just hustling away doing something completely different. But back to motor stuff. I mounted the coil. I pulled this radiator out of my shed, which was actually kind of cool. This thing, it came with the whole, whatever you want to call it there, mount, I guess. And the guy had welded a bar across because he chopped everything out, so that's kind of cool. Now the problem I'm running into, this was a V8 car, which would put the radiator behind the core support. The radiator I have is a 6-cylinder radiator. Now this isn't the permanent one, but that is meant to have the radiator in front of the core support. So we're just going to kind of clamp it in place or do something. I don't know if this is a good radiator or anything, but it was free or cheap. The next thing, you guys all give me a hard time about the hat being crooked, so I'll just show you. I actually didn't have a wing nut on this back one, so that probably didn't help. But you literally just put these little sliders under the air filter, you clamp the air filter down, and then on the bottom side of the hat, it's just got some threaded, you know, kind of inserty type things. So you kind of put it on, and then you can literally slide it forward or back. I mean, look how bent this is. I usually could have done that myself. But that'll affect the thing looking crooked, making the motor look crooked. So I've got that all on. I've got the carburetor actually tied down with proper nuts and washers. And I want to get this on and just make sure it's all good. Because it is quite a process taking it off. I think there's 4 on each side, 2 per carburetor. Bolts holding the hat on. And then you got to take, like, it's a schmozzle. Tunnel rams look cool, but they're a nightmare. But you should definitely do it because you do look cooler. But so I'll slap this back together, and I think that's where I might leave it for tonight. Tomorrow I got to go get some oil and screw out the oil pan, get under the car a little bit. Lots of little tedious stuff, and then hopefully in another few days all the parts I've ordered will come in, and then we can actually light this thing off. Alright, well, we're back on the ground. I didn't do a whole lot more, I'm not gonna lie. I just got the hat on and it looks good. Fits level. Mer just bailed. It is Saturday night, so every Saturday night at 7:30 Central Time we do a live stream. If you guys didn't know that, you should stop in. It's always a good time. We go on for about an hour and a half. Just kind of bullshit around. It's a good time. Anyways, I gotta clean up just a little bit, get the heat cranked, all those sort of things. So I'm gonna leave this till tomorrow. I got a list of stuff I gotta see if I can get maybe from a Canadian Tire, Home Depot, maybe a few little things, some pipe plugs, stuff like that. And yeah, get as done as I'm gonna be for this video, and then next time we'll do something else for a little bit, and when we get all last little bits of motor parts, we can make this thing shoot some fire out the exhaust. I actually got some exhaust in the way, speaking of that, hopefully, so that'll be good. I can work on the exhaust system. There's still lots to do, but man, we're motoring through this thing. I love this thing. Just looks so ridiculous. It suits me like I've never seen. Alright, I'll see you guys in the morning. Alright, next day, new day. New shirt. It's going to be a good one. Sorry, starting off terrible. So I've got the front end up in the air. I thought, okay, first things first, let's put some fluid in this pan and make sure that all my welds were good and everything was going to be... Oh. So anyways, I found a little spot I missed, so I ground her down, gave her a quick zap, and then I used some more seal all on the whole thing. So we're going to let that set up for a few hours. But in the meantime, we've got a few other problems. The coil, you know, I don't have the right connection, so I'm gonna see if I can find one. Otherwise, maybe I can just jam a piece of like a bolt in there, all thread rod or something. I stopped by Home Depot. I got a bunch of miscellaneous plugs because I'm sure I'm gonna have to block off the oil pressure and all those things. Because I don't have any gauges. I don't think I'm gonna do too much else. I'm gonna have to wire up the distributor, wire up the coil. We're gonna have to wire up the starter. The starter's just hanging in there with some wrong bolts. It came with some special ones I gotta put in. Make sure it's clocked and right. I gotta find my jumper cables. I can't find them. So they're probably a snowbank. That's not the best. And do a little bit of kind of screwing around like that. The plugs are gonna have to tie away all the wires because they're right on the exhaust. But you know what? I want to make this thing to make just a little bit of noise. Otherwise, I'm gonna be waiting for a week anyways. And I mean, once I do that, then we'll have it fired up, actually idling another week or so. But I want to hear this thing just spark to life, which I'm sure you guys do too, right? You keep asking, has it run? Has it run? She's gonna run, or be horrible and leak and be a nightmare and all those things. But that's what we're doing. So I'm gonna shimmy under there, put in some pipe plugs, change up all the bolts, see what I can find there. Probably have some lunch, kill a little bit of time, because I want that seal all to set as much as possible, because that's a pain in the ass. I don't really want to be welding when there's oil in there, because oil costs money. You gotta drain it out and clean it, and it's a shitty job. So that's what we're doing. Okay, it's been a couple of hours. I'm confident in my oil pan repair with the sketchy welding and a little bit more seal all. I have managed to get all the plugs in. Well, just the one for the oil pressure. I believe I got the right spot. I guess we'll find out. I had to put new bolts. Well, I just tightened up all the bolts on the header collector just so that gasket doesn't get roached out. I've drained all the... I had diesel in it and some ATF. Drained all that out. I run this 1540. I don't know. I like it. And I also toss in a one of these. Zinc Plus. So I'm going to toss that in there just for the time being. Odds are this thing's just going to run the garage a few times, be moved around, and before I actually drive, I'll do another oil change on it. And I think it'll be fine. I ran a magnet in the hole, the drain hole, and there was nothing in there, so I'm not worried about it. My next hurdle is going to be, I don't have the right coil wire, so I'm just going to jam a bolt in one end and make it a male. I'll take the hat off and the filters, which I just put on yesterday like an idiot. But I gotta get all that off so I can bottle feed the carburetors. And yeah, then we gotta wire up the distributor. Well, I put the starter bolts in, that's all good. We get the battery charger out, charging up, and a set of jumper cables. So we're gonna hot wire this thing. But I'll dump the oil in, I'll get everything kind of set up, I think. And I'll just bring it back and maybe explain what I've done. You guys have all seen me kind of hot wire stuff before. It's all pretty simple and easy, but yeah. And the transmission, the torque converter is not hooked up because we have that clearancing fitment, whatever you want to call it, issue. So I just got a torque converter pushed as far back to the transmission as I can. So I'm thinking it'll be fine. Well, it's been a battle, I'm not going to lie. Most of it was my fault. But Murr's here, so it's his fault by association. I've pulled out every... I don't even... Where all the starters went? Well, I put the mini starter on, it wasn't working. Well, I don't know what I did with them. So I pulled every other starter I had to make it work. They didn't fit, nothing was going on. It turns out it was a bad connection on my behalf. I'm an idiot. Otherwise, we got the coil hooked up, got a bolt in there all taped in. We got the Motorless starter ready to go. So in theory, I just got to kind of tie some of these plug wires away from the exhaust. We got to run 12 volts to the coil, which the Mer starter does, and dump a bunch of gasoline in the float bowls. So I think I'm going to get some gas and a fire extinguisher and earmuffs and Mer's good luck, and we'll see. Hopefully this motor is as good as I'm hoping for. Wish us luck, we need it. Well, I don't know what's going on here. We got it all wired up. Is it still hooked up? You want to hit the button? Just no cranky. So we've double checked all the connections. The battery might be kind of junky, so I do have the charger on it. This thing did run just last summer apparently, so I can't see it being too tight, but I'm gonna, I guess, just give it a minute, maybe run some oil down all the cylinders, pull the plugs out, and double check all the connections again. But I'm beat for now, so we'll try some other time. Alright guys, so I've had the charger on the thing, I'm playing around with it a little bit off camera, made sure all my connections are good. The battery, I think, was just dead. The connection was meh. The thing had a pile of timing in it, just you could hear it. I took as much out as I could. Unfortunately, the cap is jammed up against the back of the intake, so I may have to kind of pull it out, reclock it, and put it down on just one tooth different on the cam. But let's try this. So here's the key. Just so you guys know, I do use this herbal essences. It's great for priming up carburetors. Again, there's no fuel pump on this thing. Oh, it's getting a little squirt. Now she does, a little hard on the cranks. Where am I put my gloves? I guess I don't have any. It is hard, there's too much timing in it, there's no way around it. But she'll go. Starter is remaining engaged, which is a problem. I don't have the right shims, so I jam washers in it. Maybe we'll reset. Yeah, maybe we'll just crank it over and see what happens actually with no ignition. See, it was also, I think the motor was a little tight from sitting, and now it's run a little bit. It's much happier. Actually, I wonder if the exhaust is just banging on something. Sounds like something's hitting that. The motor's whacking on something. I wonder what the heck that is. Oh, I have that tailpipe on, or the downpipe, and it's just super loose. Bet that's it. And definitely a starter is not shim right. We've got no accelerator pump on the front carburetor. That's not helping the cause. A dab will do ya. Ooh. The starter is not happy. But it runs. Alright, I'm gonna take this stupid thing off my head. Well, that was a bit of a win, I'm not gonna lie. Today was frustrating me. I don't know what it was, this motor just fought me. So obviously we got a few issues. Either the starter's not shim right, which it absolutely is not. It came with one of those little shims, and it needed way more than that, so I put a couple of washers in there, which is not the way to do it. Man, it's smoky in here. But it ran. It's hard on the flywheel, hard on the starter. Actually, the timing, I might have just kind of fluked it. It didn't sound too bad there. It cranks over much happier now, so the motor might have just been a little tight from sitting. No big deal. Again, I don't have any water in the thing. I had no gauges on it, so I didn't want to crank it too much or whatever, but it runs. It sounds good. Big block Chevy, what's not to like? So I got a list of stuff I got to get from the parts store. Like I said, this week we got to get on that. The other thing that might be is that torque bar. I did push it back in the transmission. I am worried maybe it's hitting the flywheel a little bit. Could have made some of those noises. Either way, it's not the way to do it. I understand that. Feel free to roast me in the comments. I love those. But it runs. I'm happy. I'm done for the night. I'm done for this stinking video. We'll be back at tomorrow. My eyes are killing me. We'll be back at tomorrow. We're just going to do some more polishing on this thing. We got the tailgate all dialed. I want to get the roof all together. And I did a little screwing around the other fenders. I'm going to finish that up. And we'll get that together. But it runs. I'm happy. Thanks for hanging around, guys. Thanks for being supportive. I appreciate it. Oh, this thing's going to be a ripper. All right. Subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends. See you in the next video.